Trade season is approaching, and as we get deeper into the season, we are starting to figure out who is available for trade and what teams need. So in today's video, we will be given the best trade targets for buyers and seeing what the sellers need to get in return for each player they are moving. The Chicago Bulls have more than a few players they need to look into moving this year, as they have expiring contracts and just too many young players they will be stunning the growth of if they hold on to players deserving of minutes. The biggest player the Bulls have available in my eyes is Nikola Vucevic, as the need for a true center is clear for many teams around the league, especially in the Western Conference. With the numbers Vuce has put together so far, he should command a decent market. In order for the Bulls to get quality return value, I would say they need to be greedy and ask for at least some combination of first-round picks and a young player they like. Zach LaVine's contract is the biggest limitation in any trade involving him, so the Bulls really just have to match contract with players they want. I would say Zach LaVine is either going to be a member of the Bulls, Warriors, or Magic. Torrey Craig should be moved for a pick, and Lonzo should be moved for really anything in return. The Golden State Warriors have a clear need for a shot maker and shot creator, and because of that, I look at three players. Zach LaVine is perfect, but the money is a huge issue. Dennis Schroeder could fill the role of DeAnthony Melton, but the player I think they need most is Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons is a high-level shooter that can play make and make big shots, the exact thing the Warriors are missing. Sure, the height is concerning, but at the end of the day, they need someone who can get their own buckets consistently outside of Curry, and that player is Simons. So, as much as the height is a limitation of this team, they need to go all in for Anthony Simons. The Memphis Grizzlies are already dangerous as is, but if they add a true complementary center to what they have right now, things could get scarier. Although Brandon Clark has been great in his starting role, adding Jakob Poeltl from the Raptors would make this team formidable. The Grizzlies do have draft capital, so I really think if they could match the money right, they could pull off a huge trade with the Raptors and land Jakob Poeltl and solidify their stance as contenders. Looking at the New York Knicks starting five, they clearly are one of the best teams on paper, but when the starters are playing 40 minutes a night, the team is almost guaranteed to burn out. So they must add depth by any means possible at the deadline, especially at the wing position. But I don't have any true target. Just get players, multiple players that you trust to play. A big-time seller at this year's deadline will hopefully be the Portland Trailblazers, as they have three players they do not need to play anymore. DeAndre Ayton, as I said earlier, with the need for size from many teams, the Blazers may get overpaid in a deal for him, so get what you can out of him and get him out of Portland. Jeremy Grant has some value, but is hard to trade because of the money he is owed. I think at the end of the day, someone will acquire him out of desperation. And then Anthony Simons, I am sorry, but if the Blazers trade him for anything less than a young player they really like and 2 first-round picks, they are an unserious franchise. So yeah, those three players need to be moved. The Washington Wizards must trade Malcolm Brogdon and Jonas Valanciunas, as they have too many young players right now at the point guard position, and the market for a center is very active right now. Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are names to look out for, but honestly, Jordan Poole looks too good to trade currently, and this certainly isn't Kuzma's peak value given his start to the year. If the package is right for those two, I think they should pull the trigger. If not, holding them isn't bad in my eyes. Holding Brogdon and Valanciunas would be a horrible mistake. I look at the Hornets. They need a center. Jakob Poeltl. He's going to be available. Go out and get him. The Detroit Pistons look good right now compared to what we have seen from them in the past, so I honestly would say not trading anyone is the right idea unless they get a player they really want. Moving to LA, the Lakers need some serious defensive help at the deadline, as well as offensive help, as they have horrible perimeter defense and they need size. I think the only way to fix this is by trading Austin Reeves, but I think the Jazz are a team that would actually value Reeves enough to where, in the right package, Reeves could land LA both Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton. If LA does this, the whole outlook of their season would change in a positive way, so I'm looking at that for their deadline. And yes, it would be more than Reeves to land both of those players. That's just the big headlining name. The Brandon Ingram saga is starting all over again, and although I don't see any team with the financial flexibility to get him, he is more likely to get moved than you would expect off first glance. I don't think any contenders will be in the mix for him, as in order to get him, they would have to give up a lot to make it work. So where I am at right now, Brandon Ingram is probably going to leave at the end of the year regardless, so squeezing out what you can from him on the trade market before he leaves for nothing is the right idea for the Pelicans. My favorite team, the Phoenix Suns, have one big need, a true center outside of health. Kelly Olynyk is probably the best center we could realistically add, so please get him. John Collins is having a career year. Colin Sexton is one of the most underrated two-way players in the game, especially at the guard position, and Jordan Clarkson needs a change of scenery desperately. All three of these players should be dealt at the deadline by the Utah Jazz. The Brooklyn Nets have the best value players available at the deadline, and they must exploit the value of them by raising the asking price. Dennis Schroeder, Cameron Johnson, and Dorian Finney-Smith all must be moved. We have a lot of issues with the Denver Nuggets right now, and the best way to solve them is by trading Michael Porter Jr. And I would say a move sending him to the Bulls for a package around Lonzo Ball, Ayo Dosunmu, Torrey Craig, and Javon Carter is the best return they can get. This would solve their depth issues and adds two-way players that would be perfect in their rotation. Lonzo is really there for money reasons, but I think the Bulls give the Nuggets the best return for Michael Porter Jr. Likewise to my Suns, I think the Clippers just need to solidify their center rotation, and adding a backup like Kelly Olynyk will be massive for them, especially if Kawhi comes back and is dominant. If I am the Timberwolves, I am honestly not making any trade right now or targeting anyone, as many of their issues center around their lack of chemistry, and making a trade would, in theory, harm that more. Patience is needed. Speaking of a Timberwolf, I think the 76ers need to target Dante DiVincenzo. Hasn't been great in Minnesota, but a move to Philly and a re-entry into a starting lineup may be all he needs. And the 76ers' best lineup would be one consisting of Maxey, Dante, Oubre, Paul George, and Embiid, as Caleb Martin has just been underwhelming to say the least. I'm praying the Raptors finally move Bruce Brown, but also Jakob Poeltl. The Boston Celtics, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Dallas Mavericks have no holes on their roster, and making a trade would be dumb. So I have no targets nor expendable players for them. Cameron Johnson is a big name on the market this year, and I think the Pacers will be in on that market. And if they offer a package centered around Jarris Walker, they may land him. The Pacers have a clear need for a true starting small forward, and the fit makes too much sense for them. The Milwaukee Bucks need two-way help, and they have been rumored to be looking at Torrey Craig, but his teammate Ayo Dosunmu is the best player the Bucks could get, and that is why I believe Ayo is the best target. Hurdling the line between contender and dark horse, the Orlando Magic find themselves one or two pieces away from being serious contenders. Looking at their expendable assets they have, I would aggressively pursue Cameron Johnson or Dennis Schroeder, as adding one of them would be major. Either one of them would make this team an instant contender. With everything happening in San Antonio, adding a John Collins, a versatile 6'10 player that is able to play around the basket and space the floor, next to Wemby and Sohan would be an amazing move. John Collins' former team, the Atlanta Hawks, have one player that can shoot the ball, and with the need for shooting being high around the league, trading Bogdanovic is going to be something they must do at the deadline to maximize his value and the team's ability to develop. I would love Cam Johnson to go to Cleveland and be the starting three. They need to solidify their amazing starting five, but financially that won't work. So how is his teammate Dorian Finney-Smith as the best target for the Cavs? The Kings need defense more than anything right now, and they need someone who can complement them on offense well enough to a point they aren't a liability. That is why Kevin Huerter must be moved this deadline, and getting Bruce Brown in return would be perfect. Obviously, more assets would need to be sent to Toronto to account for Brown's value, although the trade value has taken a hit. The Houston Rockets cannot shoot the ball, and it shows, so looking to get Malik Beasley and or Bogdanovic is the best trade target for them right now. No Jimmy Butler or Ingram, please. You need three-point shooters. Speaking of Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat and him have been a center of many NBA trade rumors for a while now, and honestly, with a spark of them this week, it is weird timing for them, as the Heat are playing their best basketball so far this season. The biggest rumors were that we learned that Jimmy Butler's teams of interest are the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, and Golden State Warriors. I don't like his fit on either of the three, as I know the packages to get him would be very steep and cause issues to the team's depth and probably their overall play. At this point, my stance on the Jimmy Butler saga is simple. You might as well trade him, as we keep getting rumors constantly and the team seems at a disconnect with him. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. This has been the best trade target for every team at the 2025 trade deadline. These trade rumors are going to be ramping up, and if you want to stay up to date, hit the subscribe button, since I do a weekly recap every Monday at 3. The latest episode's on the screen. Memphis Grizzlies look scary, and we're going to break that down among other things. So y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Like and subscribe. Bye.